it ended at a good time. So what you want to do, and what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to take another sheet of marker paper. Now, if you don't want to waste your sheets of marker paper, this paper up here will do the job. It's slightly more too absorbent, but so the first thing that I'm going to do, what's the first thing that I'm going to do before I take my sheet of paper out of the pad for my bee and thing? I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark that right side, okay? So here we are. I'm going to take the light off of this because I want you to be able to see it better. So for this one, now, like I said, some of these markers, like I'm not sure if somebody could have skin that red. I don't think you could see that. However, I had to order these things twice, and I ended up buying the darker version because in the lighter, the one where it's a little bit more leaning towards the Caucasian side, let me show you something. Can you see this? Who has skin this color? Really? Okay. Now, Thomas, do you know what a QT tan is? Do you know what QT was? Oh, a little bit out of your time. I thought maybe you might know that.
I'm like, that looks like my skin tone.
Well, it's a little orangey. I think you're a little pinker than that.
Oh,
I think you're a little pinker than that. All right. The thing is like QT was a product that you could give yourself a QT tan, and it was literally iodine in a bottle. And so people would like put it on their skins and they'd walk around looking orange. It was pretty funny. So anyway, I don't really want a QT tan here. So, but I do want one that's kind of a mid-tone. All right. So before I used in this one, and you're going to have, because we have different kinds of marker, I used a BR1. Okay. And that's going to be my lighter skin tone. And then I'm going to use the BR3. And that's going to be a little bit darker. So the thing is that if you remember from your, I'm also going to get out, just because we're going to kill two birds with one stone, you can get out one of your mid-tone colored markers, and that's not right. So over here, my mid-tone color, I'm going to go for this kind of purpley, pinkish purpley one. I've got my mid-tone. You don't want too dark, you don't want too light. Skin tone markers. And I'm also going to demo gray. This is going to be C5 Copic. That's a mid-tone gray. All right. Now, for this, when you went to the supply list, it asked you to find these markers with a brush tip. Now, this one has a brush tip, okay? There's a lot of advantage for using a brush tip. Sometimes if it's not giving you enough of a brush, I kind of pull it out a little bit. But the thing that you can do is you can make, how many people have worked with alcohol-based markers before? No problem, I'm gonna show you. So the thing is that like you can make different size lines with this. If you have it like almost like right here vertically to the page, you can get this teeny tiny little line here. If you put it like a little bit down, get a little bit fatter line. And if you lay it down and kind of hold it like this, you're going to cover a lot of area there. Okay. So one of the things that I like to do before is just completely test out this medium. And so using that kind of big fat line, what I like to do is I'm going to create a square. And I don't want to overlap my lines, although I will tell you right now, I'm going to make these nice and big so everybody can see it. In the world of illustrating with marker, streaks are inevitable. So those little lines, you're not going to be graded down from there. What I'd like for you to do is make yourself a square here, maybe 6 or 7 of these fat lines. I beg your pardon? Not working for you? So that one didn't have a, if you don't have the brush tip, Shawan, it's okay. Go ahead and use your chisel tip. Because if you use a chisel tip, you can put that chisel kind of, especially if it's a sharp chisel, put it on its side a little bit. You'll get a narrow line. If you go right here in the center like this, you'll get a fatter line. And if you go full on with it on a square, you'll get that thicker line there. So you can use that chisel tip. The reason I use the brush tip is this makes it more kind of like a watercolor in the tube. So right over here, I am going to number. This is going to be my first layer. Now I'm going to simply do the same thing and go over, but I'm going to leave this one by itself. So it's just kind of showing you what you can get when you layer these markers, okay? You can get a darker value, okay? Darker value is light to dark. And when I think about values, I think about it like money, you know? So the more ink you've got in there, the more money you're spending, and that's a deeper, darker value. It's higher in value. So there's my number 2 right there. So I'm going to go to number 3, moving over right here. One thing you want to do is make sure that it's dry. Okay? Make sure that it's dry. Then we go to number 3. And as you can see, I can really layer with this. Okay? So then I'm going to mark that with 3, a little bit darker than 2. This will give you an idea of how light and dark you can go with your own set of markers, because all these markers might behave differently. They're different brands. This one is, I don't even know the name of it. I can't even read it. So then I'm going to go over to 4. I can go darker still. Just a little bit though. I'm starting to kind of lose it. But the thing is that we are only covering so much real estate when we are coloring our figures in. So you might not want to, just knowing how many layers you need here. Okay, now I'm on 5. And all of a sudden, I don't know if you can see this, but it has gotten darker. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to let this dry just a tad and see if I can't go one shade darker, because I probably can. And so with this one marker, and y'all saw it in the art supply store, you really only need one. You can get 6 different values here. Okay, now I'm not going to go into a full color pencil thing, but I'll show you that later, because I'm going to show you how to do skin tone 3 ways. Now, I want to say this ahead of time, okay? That I'm going to show you how to do a full-on treatment of something right away, and then I'm going to show you the shorthand version. And so, because like with the So I'm going to make you understand how to layer right here, but I'm also going to give you the shorthand version so you don't have to spend a lot of time just doing the skin tone, because like the body proportions, if the skin tone is minimal and conveys something, that's great, but you just want to keep it in the same category that you keep like the face, the hair, and the body figure itself. If it doesn't look weird and it's not detracting to somebody, then that's fine. So anyway, what I'm going to do here, and you can also experiment with your other markers. Like I said, I'm just going to go, show you, because these are all basically work. So here's my color, and we're going to be doing that later. But if I do the colored ones the same way, I can show myself how dark I can get this. This is a touch marker. It's a little bit cheaper than a Copic marker. This other one here was super cheap, and it behaves the same. So here's 2 layers right there. So this is just something that you can do to show how dark and light you can go. There's 3 layers. Most of the time, we're not going to go more than 3 layers on these figures. There's a 4th layer. Okay. And then I've got a 5th layer. I can lay that down there. And it's best to let this dry. Now, I want to show you something real quick that if you've got, if you can hear that squeak and you can see that it's kind of not really sinking in very much, you're on the wrong side of the paper. Okay? Just want to show you that because many a figure has been ruined because people have put it on the wrong side of the paper. So over here, I've got 6 layers with that, and I can do the same thing with my gray. Now, so I'm just showing you the properties of an alcohol-based marker. Before digital came along, alcohol-based marker was the medium for fashion design. That and colored pencil. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to touch on colored pencil. I'm going to put this down so I can see people. So here I've got my gray. And you can really get a lot of range, a lot of different values just from one marker. And for my money, I think this one maybe costs like $10 or something. You get a lot of different range of color just for, a very little amount of money. And they're making these alcohol-based markers really, they're fine. They work just fine, okay? So some of you guys might buy the Copic. One thing that I have found particularly frustrating about the Copic marker lately is that, I don't know what happened during the pandemic, but they tell you that you can refill these Copic markers, and the fact of the matter is they don't sell refill ink in the proper colors. And I have tried to order several different times. I've tried to order refill ink, and I've used the correct number to order it, and they have. I've been sent a completely different color, and so it's frustrating. Now, during COVID, things happened, and so now I'm just going to demo how you can kind of give these a shot in the arm. Another thing. So the thing is that if your marker is dry and you just got it, you should probably take it back. If it's drying out because you've been using it, one way to recharge the ink is going to be to add basic rubbing alcohol. Okay. For me, like I use these syringes. I buy these needle syringes from Amazon because I like to make. Since I watch a lot of cop shows and I like to pretend that I'm doing drugs. So, but the thing is that if I load one of these things, this is going to give you an accurate, because what you want to do is you want to take your brush tip out, and I'm going to take this and put it in one of my drier markers. Okay, so I'm gonna go for a marker that's kind of drying out on me, which happens in my line of work. Nope, that's not it. All right, so the thing is that adding alcohol will dilute the color. And so if you want me to do it at some point, I'll do it, because if you get nicked by this and get a tetanus shot, then that's going to be a problem. But the thing is that you can always remove. It's easy to remove either the chisel tip. I would remove the chisel tip if I were refilling, y'all, because the chisel tip's a little harder and you don't want to break up your brush. You just have to remove this chisel tip. We squirt this stuff in relatively slowly, and I leave this open because when it starts to drip out the other end, you've got too much. And that's a great way to recharge your marker, okay? I have recharged a number of the markers that you see in that kit. Some of them are, past carrying, they're shot. But you can actually extend the life of your Copic marker with simple rubbing alcohol. Same goes, and I'm not going to be demoing this completely, but I told you guys to get cheap colorless blenders because literally these things are just alcohol in a tube. And the thing that you really want to watch for the colorless blender is that if you're blending, you got to make sure that tip is clean on your colorless blender, or else it's going to give you that and that has ruined many a sketch. Okay, so but if you get a bunch of them, you can get that color off of there. Same thing can happen like if you have a different color on your marker, you can just kind of rub it off the side there. So this is my test sheet. You can see that I've done a full-on test sheet with all the different skin tone Copic markers over there. Okay? So here, I'm going to pause this one as well because I just wanted to, that's showing you how to use, refill, and layer your markers. I'm going to pause right there.